Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, you guys are looking really, really good this morning. Had your coffee, feeling good. See plenty of smiles. There's only one person who's not smiling at me who will work on you. But my wife texted me this morning and she said that make sure you tell the people good morning and hello from me. She wish she could be here, but she had another engagement. And so it's just an honor to be a part of this birthing experience for the next 3 years. Amen. I say amen a lot. I'm a pastor.
Amen.
You can't say amen, just say right on. But Noel and team and everybody that's involved in this, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this whole experience. And I look forward to seeing all the transformation, the change, and the innovation, and all the things that will come out of this whole thing and this experience. And I want to invite all of you who've never been to Malawi to go there with me one of these days. I haven't been back in the last 32 years, and so this year, 2017, is my year to go back home and be with my people. I've had an opportunity to go to other countries in Africa, but I've never gone back to my home simply because things just didn't work out whenever I was trying to go. But my talk is focusing on coming to America. Coming to America, what that was like for me. I came when I was 8 years old. The other day I was having lunch with a friend of mine. He's from the Ukraine. And his story is similar to mine in that he came to the United States right when he had turned 9 years old. And we were having lunch and we're talking about his experience and my experience. And Zach says to me, he says, you know what, when I was in the Ukraine, growing up in Kiev, what we were told was that America was a place where the fences were made out of sausage. And the grass was made out of cheese. And I thought to myself, that's kind of gross. I mean, who wants to walk around on cheese all day long? That's kind of get a little messy. And he starts sharing about how America was painted as this place of promise, this place of splendor, and they hoped to go to America and wanted to go to America. It was the promised land. Now for me, I went back to my memories, and I don't have the memory of trying to get to America for this promised land experience. I loved the neighborhood that I was growing up in. I was growing up in a town right outside of Blantyre, Malawi, and I loved my friends. I had my friend Obi and Kaliwaka, and we used to play with the dogs and run around and all kinds of things. And my neighbor was an American, a white lady, and the only thing I remember about her at that age is being 8 years old was that she smelled like a mix of chicken and perfume. That's what I could, like, it must have been the shampoo. I don't know if she was using Pantene, Provi, or what, but it was a mixture of chicken and shampoo. So I used to tell my mom, the cuckoo woman, you know? But one day my mom came to me and said that we're moving to America. My father had gone ahead of us. He had lived in Israel for 2 years, came back, and then he had also gone to Sweden, and now he had moved on to Michigan in America, and he had called for us to come and join him in America. And so the only thing that brought excitement about the pursuit of going to America was the fact that I was going to be with my dad. So in November of 1984, my mom and my little sister Nikiwe got on an airplane and flew to America. We landed in Chicago O'Hare International Airport, and the very first thing that I felt when I landed was the cold. I felt the cold. I felt the cold blast of that windy city hit my face, and then we drove 2.5 hours to a small town called Berrien Springs, and for the next few years I felt the cold of being the only African Malawian kid in my entire apartment building or apartment project building. And I felt the cold because I didn't understand all the new jokes and the things that were happening around me. So I felt the cold in the neighborhood kids who didn't play the same games that I was used to. And my parents took me to school at a school called Mars Elementary School. And there I felt the cold. One morning as I got to school, an African-American lady told her child, don't play with him, he's a real Negro. Ooh. And I didn't know what she was talking about, but I went home and I said, Mom, am I a real Negro? And as I went through 3rd grade, Mrs. Crapsey blew some more cold air into my life in that she nicknamed me Doofus. Simply because when she would call on me and ask me a question, I'd have to translate what she was saying back into Chichewa or Tumbuka and then produce an answer for her into English. So there was a 3-second delay that would take place. I don't know if anybody who's ever learned or had to learn a new language know what I'm talking about. You kind of have to think about it. Are they asking me, should I answer this the way that it is in my language, or should I put it into English, American English? So she called me Doofus, and so I became quiet. And I would not speak as much. And it wasn't until I met somebody else who carried the warm heart of Africa with them, Mrs. Scorpio. Mrs. Scorpio in 4th grade came up to me one morning and said, "You're a great communicator." And I opened up. I was meeting other warm-hearted people that opened up my life. And I remember growing up and my best friend Randy, one day when I was, we were in 8th grade, and I'd gone to a new school, and Randy, right after recess, asked me a question. He said, "Jonathan, my dad and I were talking, and I want to ask you a question. Are you an African or are you a nigger?" And I said, "What?" I'd heard this word before, and I knew that it wasn't a nice word, and that you're supposed to punch the person that says that to you. So I did what was, trained, and I punched him and got kicked out of school. But from that point on, high school became something different, because now, in grades, elementary school, kids were just kids, but now in high school, you start getting into your own little groups. I don't know if you've seen that in San Diego, but you start getting into your own little groups, and I was trying to find my group. The African Americans didn't find me to be African American enough, and now the community had changed and other African kids had moved in, but they didn't find me to be African enough for them. And the white Americans, well, I just was Jonathan from Africa, a little bit different, and yet in the same space, I'm trying to find who I am, and so I turned on to BET to inform me of my identity, and Yo MTV Raps to find a place for myself, and luckily it was an era in hip hop where being African was kind of cool, and Eddie Murphy had just produced his movie, and Malcolm X's movie had come out, and so there was this nationalistic pride that was taking place in America where African Americans were now becoming proud of their heritage. And so here I was. I could proclaim to them that I'm the original. You came from me. But still, in order to navigate, I had to carry a warmness in order to bridge the gaps of cold. People who had that same warmness helped us create a different community throughout high school of people that were relating. And so my best friends became Koreans and Mexicans and Argentinians and Brazilians and Yugoslavians at that time, and Norwegians and white Americans. And we found out that life is about finding other people who carry a warm heart towards anybody. That's what life is all about.